Welcome to the Octiv Sweat Equity Podcast, a show designed exclusively for gym owners and fitness enthusiasts like you. I'm your host, Mark Forsey. In today's episode, I'm chatting to an old friend of mine, Matt Holliday, who is the founder of the Bloc, a successful CrossFit affiliate, as well as the West Coast Series, which is a community-driven fitness event. I'm really looking forward to unpacking Matt's mindset and strategy around how to build better communities. Matt, it's always so good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Little known fact is when we met, it was around 2013, 2014, Cape CrossFit Newlands, and we were training at the same box, which was a really good time. And a lot has happened since then.
A lot of changes.
Yeah. So, look, thank you for making the time. When you started the Bloc, I believe you were, or not started the Bloc, when you got involved, I believe you were one of the youngest gym owners in the country. And I'm very keen to hear the story from your mouth. How did it happen? How did you get involved? And what was your vision for the business initially?
Sure. Well, thanks, Voz. Good to see you again. Going back all the way down to 2014, that's really where it all started, I was studying at the time and training just full time, made some good friends, and that community out in Newlands was, top class. Like, we were friends that just trained together, and it just made, going to gym just so much more like pleasurable every time we got there. Fast forward through the years, I decided that this was the path that I really wanted to take. I just loved everything about CrossFit and, being in the gym and seeing how it changes people's lives all the time. And I kind of decided that, that's where I wanted to go. Getting involved in what's now the Bloc was BMC CrossFit back in the day. It was just, an opportunity at the right time. And I just finished my studies in education to be a teacher. And I had to make that choice of if I was going to, dive into this thing that I was so passionate about, or just kind of pursue my career path. So kind of rolled the dice. One night I just got a call from Chris Seymour back in the day. And he offered me a management position at their box out in Blouberg. And I jumped straight to it, fell in love with the, being on a different kind of side of what the training was. It was now about building a brand and building a community more than, just falling into one.
Okay, so you joined as gym manager.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I started out there just on a management position.
Yeah.
And then things just, started snowballing 6 months later. So as you say, I was 22 at the time. 6 months later, I ended up buying out, one of the partners. So I became a 50% shareholder. And then you're invested. Then, I was invested in the brand, and I just wanted to push to make it, something special. Maybe recreate a little bit of that feeling that I had at Newlands and that I felt as a member. I wanted to, give that opportunity to more and more people, just in my own space. The Bloc came about, a couple of years down the line. So I rolled with BMC CrossFit for a while, and then, things start changing. The business was evolving a lot, and I never wanted to get rid of the CrossFit brand. But I wanted to expand the horizons a little bit, dip into a couple of more offerings as well, and just create my own brand at the end of the day. So by that point, I had then bought out the other 50%. So I became, the sole owner.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Because actually what I was going to ask you is, how did kind of the original ownership, how do they feel about the change and the change in direction? But if you kind of gradually bought them out, that explains it.
Yeah. So it was a step-by-step process because so Chris was my partner at the time, and he had the other facilities. So there was 2 facilities.
Yes.
So the involvement and the crossover between the 2 wasn't, probably where it should have been. And I was kind of, we had shares in each other's gyms, but I had mine and he had his.
Mm.
And it kind of naturally just, split that way over time. And yeah, then creating the Bloc, that actually happened in COVID. But all the plans were in place beforehand. So we had, the plan was to rebrand in April. And obviously we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was actually, for me, a really great opportunity to, start fresh. Everyone came out of lockdown and we had this cool new brand. It was exciting. Like, we didn't come out on the back foot necessarily. We came out with something for people to look forward to. New colors, new brand, and that's kind of what, it just pushed us coming out of a very dark time.
I'm smiling because of the similarity in our timing and our rebrand. We worked on our rebrand during COVID.
Yeah.
We had planned to do it before, but during lockdown, we really doubled down and launched after COVID. And for us, it felt like a fresh start, even though it's the same business.
Yeah.
And how did your members take that at the time? Was there resistance? Because I know in my mind, when we rebranded, I worried about how our current client base would take it, and how they would they like the new brand, or would it resonate? And obviously it went well for us, and obviously it went well for you too. But was it a big worry for you? Or
I think because I'd been working on this vision for so many years, I wasn't worried because it was almost a foolproof plan. We had the preparation, we had the branding, we had the excitement and the push and the buy-in from the members, from the community as well, going into the rebrand.
Awesome.
That no one was really holding back on it. It was more exciting than it was, anything.
And it wasn't
else.
like a surprise for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it rolled on during the middle of COVID. So we went in with one brand. We still coached all of our classes in COVID, all the online class and everything with the other brand. And it was cool because we could launch in a way where no one could see each other. But something that we did was we made a whole bunch of buffs, with the new branding.
Yeah.
And we dropped them off at people's places,
that's nice.
With that branding. There was a gradual change on the home workout videos where we started, putting snippets of the new branding in the back of the videos, and popping the new logo up on the wall, and
awesome.
It kind of gets people ooh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Carrying through with the brand, it had a little bit more meaning as well. It wasn't just the initials of the owners now.
Yes.
It came with a definition.
Yes.
And that's what made it so important and exciting.
I'm a big fan of, in the CrossFit world, I'm a big fan of people who create their own standalone brand that is affiliated with CrossFit, but isn't only all about the CrossFit affiliation, if I can put it that way. Because, if you have your own standalone brand, you don't rely on anyone else for your own destiny.
Yeah.
And we've seen drama happen with certain organizations around the world that can cause, unexpected turbulence.
Yeah.
So I think that's very powerful. What challenges, what are some of your main challenges from when you got involved? Obviously you were quite young.
Yeah.
And, with respect, you wouldn't have had a world of experience in management and running a business and building a team. And I think what you've achieved is awesome, and it's testament to you as a person. But what are some of the main challenges that you had?
Yeah, I know. Thank you. And on that, I came in blind. I mean, I went from school into studying education. I had no business background or anything like that. So everything was it had to be self-taught or self-learned. I've had good conversations with some very nice people over the years that have always, given me a nugget here and there that I could implement. But, looking back to the original days, I was young. I was this kid that came into a gym and just wanted to change the world for, that community. And it wasn't taken well by a number of people. But I think looking back,
meaning like some of the members, or
yeah, some of the members. So I came in and I knew what needed to be done to make the business what it is now, and that wasn't happening. So changes had to be implemented. And it's very difficult coming into, I know you briefly, or you spoke about culture in your last podcast, but you come into a culture that's been developed over the years. The gym had been around for 2.5 years by the time I started making these changes. So that's a long time for people just to get comfortable with what they do. And it wasn't taken well by a couple of people, and honestly, a good chunk of the gym left because they just saw me as this lighty that wanted to come in and just completely mess up their structure and how things ran for them. But that was one of the best lessons, and honestly one of the best outcomes, taking this into the future. Because if you had to carry on sitting there and trying to fight with people and make them believe what you believe is best for the brand, I think it would have delayed the whole process. But it was one of those moments where you drop off. I mean, it was a number of members. It was probably a good 40 members. They were like, no ways, like this isn't how things should be run. And it gave me that fresh base.
Yeah.
It did kind of bite me a little bit because you come in with these expectations and the set membership base, and now suddenly that's gone. So then you look back, was it actually worthwhile buying into another gym, or could I have actually just started this off by myself and started fresh? But it's worked over the years, and we've more than doubled the membership under the new branding, and everyone is just on a clean slate.
Isn't it amazing? Like in hindsight, I'm sure 40 members cancelling at the time must feel like the end of the world.
When your membership base is 60, it is.
Yeah, but you sticking to your guns in terms of building something you want to build. This is, you're designing it because, it doesn't just happen on its own. And then the people that leave are obviously just people that it doesn't resonate with, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And in the long term, you end up with a much healthier culture.
And that's exactly it. I mean, you don't have those kind of bad eggs sitting there, maybe bad mouthing your gym down the line because, this used to be this or this used to be that. You've got a clean slate. And
like Matt, I've got to tell you, one of our employees in our Octiv team, Sasha, is obviously a loyal member
absolute
at
legend.
The Bloc.
Yeah.
And I find it so inspiring when we sometimes go and do a session at different places. It doesn't happen as often as we would like, but Sasha's so hell-bent on no, she doesn't actually want to train anywhere else. She'll rather go to the Bloc, and it's part of her family. Her children train there.
Yeah.
It's her second home. And I think that that's not easy to create. So it's really a testament to the community that you've built. In terms of community, I think you, in my eyes, are like a master community builder, and we've seen it. We've seen it at your gym and with your events. But I wanted to just chat to you about community as a way to build a successful business, and what are your thoughts around it?
That is the biggest driving force for me. And that's the sport that we're in. CrossFit is this worldwide community. And I mean, you can say it, but if you don't live it, it ends up becoming nothing. It becomes you just falling into this, big community, but not wanting to have a part in it. And going back, that's why it was very important for me to keep my affiliation. CrossFit Blouberg is still there, but the Bloc is the brand, and the Bloc is, the place that we train in and the people that come together. But, the community is important, because without the people training at your gym, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to live the life that I do and change the lives that I do. 100%. And I think going back to our days of Newlands, that was such a special time. And I made such good bonds with people. And I just wanted that for more people. I wanted more people to experience what the sport is actually about, because to me, that's what it was. It was, training and having a big Saturday session and all going for breakfast together. It was Friday night, let's have a throwdown and grab a couple of beers. And I know that coming into, the fitness world, people have their opinions on it, but, I'm trying to change normal people's lives. Like for me, it's people coming in that feel like they can't do things, feel like, they don't belong there, and making them realize immediately that we are all just normal people. Yeah. I like to have a beer with my, my bri and my friends on the weekend. It's not like you should come in here and you shouldn't be able to. And
of course,
if you don't have friends, we'll be your friends.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like all my closest mates now, I mean, I've moved from Claremont to Blouberg because that is where my people are. And I met all of those people through this ship.
I think it's quite amazing, like even just our story of how we know each other. When we met, neither of us was professionally involved in the fitness industry.
Yeah, not at all.
Right. And speaking of changing people's lives, how because I agree, the community at the gym where we trained at, where my CrossFit journey started as well, it was so cool that it made me passionate about fitness and passionate about, first of all, the sport of CrossFit is what got me into this.
Yeah.
And started a business. And so did you. And our lives are so different because of it. In terms of the West Coast series, so speaking of community, the tagline, to my knowledge, is where competition meets community.
Yeah.
And tell me about how it started and where it is today, and centering the conversation around community and how you've managed to achieve that.
Yeah, so I mean, things start by building your own base and building your own community, but you can only take it that far. It's all good and well being a box owner that has a really good box that's only for them, and that's also something that I don't really believe in. We're all part of this bigger picture, and there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to be close friends with other box owners. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is one of the biggest things I see, like we are all in the same game with the same purpose. We are in a position where we're able to change so many lives around us, and just limiting that to your own box and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's because guys are scared of competition, if it's because, maybe if you send your members to a competition at my box, they might want to come to my box. And that's never been the goal. The goal is to do what we are there to do. And that is serve the people and just make as many lives better as we can. I started out, and that was how I kind of branched out my own community. And we built a really good, thing. And that was cool because that was inside our four walls. But we didn't get to showcase that anyway. So I did a lot of pushing for local competitions. Anytime a comp came up, and if it was, like Clash in the North, for instance, if it was a comp out in Longabon, I would do a massive push to my members to get entries in and support those comps. And what that allowed us to do in those early days was come through with troops. And it was amazing because I now had, a massive part of my box, 40 members, 50 members at a time, just lining up the gazebos and taking up like a whole section of, of an event. And people start noticing that. They're like, wow, like that's cool. That was just me putting myself and my members out there, supporting the other local comps. And, that's what we wanted to do. We ended up going to a competition up in Neisner. So we started branching out. And that is where the West Coast Series was born. We'd been toying with an idea to run a little competition for a while. And how it started was, okay, let's sit down. Like, we're up here in Neisner competing. We were sharing a house with, there was maybe 8 of us at the time. What do comps do that we feel like we can improve on? And that's how it started. I sat down and I wrote this list with a couple of members and the coaches that were training there. And, we just built on that. And it was, simple things like there's no shade cover. The comps run late. That was always a big thing. Like comps don't run on time. And then when it came to the scoring, like you've got scaled and you've got RX, and you've always got this, those guys are not scaled, but they're entered scaled so that they can win. How can we completely avoid that happening in the future? So that's where the West Coast scoring system, which has now become quite a unique thing. And now this year is actually kind of rolling into more comps that we see coming up, which is great for me. Like that's not something that I need to hold back on. That's something that's allowed other guys to to build on.
Definitely. It's like a rising tide lifts all ships. And so if I understand correctly, what you're talking about in the scoring system is allowing CrossFit everyday weekend warriors to take part, but also having the more competitive. And tell me a little bit more about that. So how do you make sure that that somebody who's very competitive and more elite doesn't take part in this more scaled divisions?
So that's exactly how we managed just to kind of take that out completely. And the elites are part of the community. The brand new members that have been at a gym for 1, 2, 3 weeks, that want to explore a little bit more and understand what the bigger picture is all about. Creating an environment where those people could come together and train on the same floor on a level playing field and get scored accordingly. So how that scoring system works is generally we have 3 different movement standards. So everyone enters into one pool.
I see.
There's one leaderboard. There's one, and kettlebell swings, for instance. If you have, there's a 32 kg kettlebell, a 24, and a 16. And that would then be RX plus, RX, and scaled.
Yes.
And when you get into the workout, you can then choose what weight you want.
So it's not different divisions.
It's not different divisions.
I understand.
So we completely just, scrapped that whole idea of, no, you must enter scaled or you must enter RX. And that brought a lot of people together. And the feedback that I've had from, the very beginner athlete, the aspiring elite athlete and the elite athlete, not having to wait for an opportunity to make it to semifinals, to be in the same environment as the best in the business has changed the game for a lot of people. So that brought a lot of people together. And you have your very competitive athletes that are there to win competitions. And they don't really, play with the guys that are just brand new to the sport. So giving everyone kind of that opportunity, the elites, to come down to the level to teach other people as well. Guys can see their warm-up strategies, and it's really just brought a lot of people together.
Yeah, it's really cool. So obviously you've got your gym and you've got this competition series, which is more event-based, and it's a lot to take on, right, for a leader. Do you have a team?
I have an incredible team.
Yes,
that is the people that bring this all together. I'm a one-man band on the business side of things, and I try my best to lay a lot of responsibility onto the team. We don't have like a big partnership kind of situation going, but my coaches believe in the brand. My team does, and from the start, from every person that's come on board, I've told them, this is not a me, this is a we. And if we can make this better, we will benefit and we will change more lives together. This isn't about, you want to make a call on something, but let me just quickly consult with Matt. If you feel like that's the right call for the business and for the gym and to make somebody else's experience better at the Bloc, you roll with it. And I have to attribute a lot of our success to building a force field of some great people. just amazing people. That's what it comes down to.
I really like what you said about kind of empowering people to take decisions. This is something I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is that delegation and that ability to let go.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of thoughts around how to successfully do that, to empower people to be able to take decisions and not to,
Yeah, so I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I came in with no knowledge on how to run a business. And I had to learn by making a lot of mistakes. We've gotten to the point where, we are a recognizable brand. People know the Bloc, people know the West Coast series. But a lot of that wouldn't have been there without the mistakes and learning some hard lessons from the past. So guiding more than delegating is always, the number one for me.
Yes.
Obviously, when you have a business, you need to have things there's a set way.
Yeah.
You get the team to believe in those, believe in the structure and the mission statement that you set out, and then live themselves through that mission statement. And yeah, we've done that really well. My whole team is bought into the brand, and
awesome.
Yeah, they run with it, which is amazing.
So like two thoughts on that is, like, if you have a strong set of values that are kind of well articulated and understood by your team, decisions become easier, because if a decision falls in line with the values, then it's easy to make.
Yeah.
As opposed to if it's just like haphazard and no one really knows what we're trying to build, and then you may get decisions that go in all directions that kind of veer the business off course.
Yeah.
And then I heard a cool quote, actually, Alex Hormozy. So he's the gym launch guy.
Okay.
He's a big name in kind of the fitness world in the States, in terms of building gyms. And essentially, not verbatim, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially what he was saying was that a business moves at the speed of its decision making, right? So if it takes me a month to make a decision, I'm going to move at a certain speed. But if I can make that decision on a daily basis or a weekly basis, I'm going to move 10 or 100 times faster.
Yeah.
And so if you're the only one making the decisions in your business, you're going to be the bottleneck, and you're going to grow or move, not necessarily like grow, but you're going to move so slowly as a business, and you'll be less agile. Whereas if you empower people around you to make decisions, and you prioritize the fact that they aren't going to be in a world of trouble if they make a mistake.
Yeah.
They're allowed to make mistakes, and we're all going to learn from it, etc. You just move that much faster, which I thought was really cool.
And mistakes happen, and mistakes allow you to learn more about the people that you have on your team a lot sooner. If everyone's kind of moving through life, pretending to be this person, and putting on a front that they think that you want to see, that delays a lot of the process.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the years as well. I mean, we've been through a couple of coaches and staff members over the years, but the team and the base that I have now has been solid for a good 3-4 years. So that culture now just becomes second nature. Yeah. They know what the expectation is, and they kind of know where the line is. And obviously every now and then you need to reel some things in, and just put out a gentle reminder of who we are and what we stand for and what our actual goal is, and then kind of let them go again.
Yeah.
And it also takes a lot of trust from you, and learning to trust the team has always been probably not one of my stronger points. But the more I started, letting more and more responsibility out, the lighter load on me, the more responsibility on them, the more that they felt invested in the place.
Exactly. It's a cycle.
And then the more they want to put in. So if
more
you
fulfilled they feel, and and that's what you really want for your team, is people who feel happy and fulfilled doing what they do, and that's how you build movement, you know?
And that's it. Someone comes to you with an idea and you say, yeah, you know what? You roll with it.
Yeah.
Give me a time, give me a date, and, you know, see how it works.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of responsibility onto them to make it work.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of those ideas come to life and a couple crash and burn. And it's, at the end of the day, it's always a lesson for me that we can now offer something way cooler to a lot more people because of one person's idea and opportunity to let them roll with that.
I'm going to jump quickly to something about the West Coast series. So in terms of building an event at that scale and like growing it over the years, it's obviously a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of mental space. Is it lucrative? Does it pay you for the time that you spend doing it?
Oh, not a cent. Not a cent. And this is, it's always a controversial topic when it comes to events. A lot of people run events to try and make a quick buck. And we see that. And I think that was also one of the biggest things. I mean, the West Coast series costs me money. And it's worth it because, when it comes to an event of that scale, at the end of the weekend where you see what it's done for so many people, I mean, it's a small price to pay for what you've done. Obviously, it would be amazing sometime down the line. I mean, it sounds like a really bad business plan because I've done this for 5 years. I mean, and we expand them and we do more and more and more, but I just want to offer more and more to the greater community. But as it stands, it's not lucrative at all. Getting sponsors and partners in is very difficult because it's not on a massive scale. People want to buy into something that's already massive. And I started by growing something with absolutely nothing, but I make sure that I use every single cent of the entry fees to put back into the value of the competition. And I think that's what something that a lot of people might miss is, we go big on grandstands. We try and make it as, professional as it would feel at a bigger event, a semi-final or a fittest in Cape Town. I was just at the battle this last weekend, you know. But when you're limited with your resources, I know how much it takes to run a massive offsite event. Like I can't afford to put 100,000 Rand into bringing equipment down from Joburg.
100%, yeah.
And renting out a place. I mean, you do entries and I fill the entries at 80,000 Rand. That goes so fast because
of course
people want professional media. They want the best photos. They want the best videos. They want social media updates.
Yeah, look, I think the point of my question you proved is I asked it for a reason because I know the answer. And it's to showcase like the passion that you have for what you're doing and the passion that you have for building your community and your brand and adding value to the world. And it's not a money-making scheme. Doing an event like that, you could very easily not do that event and save your money. So it's
a lot of stress and a lot of time.
Exactly. But you know what? I think in the greater scheme of things, I think it will do you. It will come back to you.
I can only hope so.
Yeah, in terms of building your brand and loyalty in your community and so on.
I mean, just on that, one of our events, that women's only comp. I'm not too sure how much you know about that, but that comp we run for the sole purpose of donating whatever we can into a women's shelter for women in need. So it's another big driving force of how we can show the community what we can actually do when we come together as a powerful force. And that comp is the biggest one to date. It's the one that I don't want to say has the least amount of effort, but you skimp wherever you can. We don't do grandstands. We don't do crowd fencing. We don't do, all those little things
that add up,
that cost a little bit here and there. We don't do athlete packs, so that we can take whatever possible, and then donate that to a greater cause, just to show the community, what we could actually do.
Yeah,
if we could come together more regularly.
So this conversation you and I have had in the past, like offline, and you brought it up earlier in terms of gym owners working in silos and seeing every other gym owner as a threat and a competitor. And I don't think it's very unique to CrossFit or to fitness. I think that it's very common in any industry. But it's especially in a sport that centers around community. I think I agree with you 100% that it can be very short-sighted. What advice, or whether it's advice or just thoughts on the topic, do you have to other gym owners that would just improve the whole community and just like lift that kind of heavy competitive blanket that like doesn't need to be there?
Yeah. It's a topic that comes up quite often. It's something that I've tried to combat for a very long time. And I think the responsibility lies in the hands of that person, that box owner that is the one that makes the post about the comps that are coming up, the one that is pushing all the time. If I'm hosting an event and you do nothing about it, and it becomes up to your members to, maybe send it to the members group or to, hey guys, anyone keen to do this? Whereas if you as the box owner are coming in and going, guys, this is a cool event. Like, let's do this, let's get 10 teams in and let's go and rep the brand. Let's go
show them our spirit.
And that's exactly where it starts. So I think that's where there's like that little, cutoff. I understand that there's a time and a place to grow your own community, do your own throwdowns, have your own community bries and, whatever it might be. But it's important for me as the box owner to show up.
Yeah.
And if I have, an event that comes up and for some reason I don't have any athletes that have entered, I generally still try and make an effort to go and just to be there, to see what's going on, to say how's it, to congratulate the box owner on, the event that they're putting on. And that's not, I think that's not me going, I'm here, and I don't have any people competing. That's just me being who I need to be in this greater, bigger picture.
Yeah.
There's no competition. There's no competition to me. I don't see other box owners I see them as fellow box owners, fellow life changers. And I think as soon as we can all get that idea out of our minds, that if I go and support, a box that's having a fundraiser throwdown, I'm not going to lose 3 members to them because they're going to go there and go, wow, this gym's so much nicer than our gym. Like, if they are,
then
I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the market.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would find them anyway. So that our customers are not blind.
Yeah.
Like, they know what other competitors are out there. If,
Yeah, 100%. So again, everything is a lesson. If that had to happen, that would be a lesson, something that I need to change, a structure I need to change, something in the programming or how I go about things. But
yeah, just to share like my own experience with something like this, we take part in a European event called Coaches Congress, which is essentially like a business summit for gym owners in Europe. And we're very privileged to be able to take part as a vendor and potentially a partial sponsor. But this Coaches Congress, the last one that happened in April in Stockholm, was the first event that we took part in where some of our really big competitors were at too, and the founders as well. Like, so, initially I felt a little bit daunted because, I've never really met the founders of like Push Press and Team Up and so on in Europe, and we are very much competitors. I mean, we're competing for the same market.
Yeah.
But I took a different mindset around, and I thought, how awesome! Like, I'm going to get to meet people that I really have a lot in common with. Like, we're doing the same thing, and you know, and at the event, we met and we had a beer together, and we really got along well. And it just lifted the awkwardness about that, and it was really a nice energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're better off for it, and we follow each other on social media, and you know, it creates a good vibe.
Yeah, and you helped me out back in 2019, and it's always been something that I've wanted to run alongside the West Coast Series event, and that is, you know, the affiliate owner meeting gathering the night before.
Yeah.
And we tested it, and it very unfortunately backfired. I got everyone's details from you because, I mean, Mark had all the contacts, all the connections.
For the fellow gym owners.
Yeah. For all the other box owners.
Making sure the puppy regulations.
It was back in the day.
Yeah.
So I reached out to, you know, every gym owner that was in the Western Cape, and I said, hey guys, we're hosting this, you know, this event. We got Jack Black on board as a sponsor. I got a couple of beer kegs and some snacks. Tian Fisser at the time was the CrossFit rep for Africa, and you know, I just put it out there. Like, I would love to have an evening where I can hang out with fellow box owners. Again, we're all on the same. Ooh. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry. So we all have the same goals here.
Yeah.
And you know, let's have a beer. Let's catch up. Tell me about your box. What works for you? I'll tell you about my box. What's worked for me over the years. And you know, let's use each other to grow. And I had like 5 box owners come through, and it was kind of like, I felt a little bit deflated.
Yeah.
Because that right there was such a cool opportunity for so many people. And if I can, or if you can, or if someone can put some effort into doing that more regularly, I can only see it being good for the community.
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, like, that was what was so nice about the last Africa affiliate gathering. Quite a lot of people attended the recent one, and it was so nice to see. And I think everyone that attended really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was when Don Falk came down. It was that was really nice, and it just gave us all that opportunity to split into groups, and we discussed simple things, programming, and you know, what works for you in your programming. And obviously, it was on the greater scale of, you know, what HQ can do.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a bigger story, but
it shouldn't take Don Fall coming to Cape Town to get everyone together.
Not at all.
You know, we can do this,
and that's the point.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So I'd love to carry on trying to push to do that. Again, that is the only thing that's going to grow this community into bigger than how many gyms there are and how many members you have as a gym owner.
Yeah,
that's not what it's about.
I've been dying to tell this joke this whole time, but I think we should include some Kool-Aid. It could help. So Matt, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm going to start wrapping up our chat, but I wanted to ask you, just off the top of your head, obviously we're all building our own businesses, but can you think of any other fitness businesses or people that inspire you?
Yeah, inspire me. So, sorry. Yeah. I always look around for inspiration.
Yeah.
I can't sit down in a board meeting and, you know, discuss where I want to take the brand next and what to do and what not to do. So guys that I do look up to, and I know you did an interview with Steve from a Motley Crew. They've done something amazing. Specifically, Estienne Ferreira up in Joburg. What that guy has done is incredible. just over the years, I would love to sit down and just pick his brain about how he's actually managed to be the person he is. Because, yeah, it's amazing. If you're in the community, you'll know what Willoway Fitness is, and you'll know Estienne.
And he's a down to earth, gentle giant. And agreed, they've built a very, very good brand.
Yeah, and then the other one would probably be Chris Lewis up in Pack Life CrossFit. These guys are doing amazing things for the brand as a whole, through Pack Life, Willoway, Motley, and I can only hope to be up there, with the big guys, and that's where I want to get to.
100%. So I think Chris and Estienne should be next on our list for
let's bring some
podcast episodes.
Bring some of the Joburg guys down to the mountain.
100%. No, great. I completely agree with you on those, and I think you're doing a very, very good job of building your brand at a very similar level.
Thanks, Mark.
So well done.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming through today. It's really been a pleasure to chat.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I mean, it's just so nice to see how much can change in 9 years, eh? Was
100%, yeah.
9 years for Octiv, for the Bloc, and for Mark Forsey, and for Matt Holliday. It's crazy.
Well, to the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Mark.